वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु. Hari Om. Today we will be carrying on with chapter 11, verse number 38. So let us recall what we have covered so far in this chapter 11. If you remember that the Lord Krishna gave Arjuna what is known as Divya Drishti, which means divine vision, by which he could see the whole creation, the whole world as divine. So every aspect of this creation appears as divine. So when Arjuna started to see the creation as divine, first of all he realized, he saw all the beautiful things in this creation, which is part and parcel of Bhagwan himself. And he was absolutely delighted. But then he also saw that this world, while there is creation, there is beauty in this world, there is also destruction going on. And thus Arjuna became very much terrified, very much afraid, especially seeing all this destruction happening on the battlefield. And he realized that it is God also who is also doing all this destruction. So he questions the Lord. Actually, who are you? He asked the Lord. I thought that you are the compassionate God, that you are the loving God. But at the same time, I see you destroying all these people here on this battlefield. So actually, what is your true identity? And Krishna then answers to him and says that I have to play different roles in this creation. There is creation, there is sustenance, and then there is also dissolution. So whichever role I'm required to play at that time, I have to play that role effectively. So that means what is Lord? Lord is the creator. He is also at the same time the preserver, and at the same time he is the destroyer also. So this is the whole cycle of creation and dissolution that has been going on for what we call for yugas and yugas and yugas, for centuries and centuries. So when Arjuna comes to realize that everything here is nothing but God. In fact, in chapter 7, there's a beautiful verse. Let me just look at that verse. Chapter 7, if you see verse number 19, verse number 19, page 143. So there is one line there in chapter 7, verse 19. The third line, you see the Sanskrit text. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Sarva means all this, meaning this whole creation, iti here, is nothing but Vasudeva. Meaning the whole creation is existing here because of God. He is the creator, he is the sustainer, he is the destroyer. But for us to realize this, it is said in chapter 7, verse 19, for a devotee to understand these three powers of the same one Supreme Lord, he says it requires many, many births to come back and understand this nature of the Lord. So when Arjuna realizes that everything here in this creation is nothing but the Lord, his devotion, now the fear factor is going away. So comes in the factor of devotion. First he went through what we call, he was so impressed with this whole creation. Then he went through fear, but now he realizes that it is God himself who is doing everything in this world. So there comes a feeling of devotion. And these verses that depict Arjuna's devotion start from verse number 36 up to verse number 44. So 36 to 44 are the prayer verses of devotion. And you can see that Arjuna's devotion is getting greater and greater, and he's using all kinds of superlative words. Can you just imagine if God comes in front of you, how emotional you will feel, the kind of devotion you will have. You want to bow down to God, You want to express all the superlative words that you can. So all these words are actually different ways to address that Supreme Being. Now, here he's not addressing Krishna anymore. He's addressing what? Who is he addressing? He's not addressing Krishna. Who is he addressing? Who? The Supreme Brahman, the unmanifest Brahman. He's not addressing Krishna as a form, because you will see from these words that he uses, it has nothing to do with form. Because form is always constrained by space. So we will see the type of words that Arjuna is using to describe this Supreme Brahman who is formless. So last week we were looking at verse number 37. We will just run through that verse number 37 again, just to remember. So there Arjuna said, why would not all the devotees who realize your greatness, why would they not bow down to you? So just like I am feeling this feeling of reverence and devotion, all the devotees will definitely bow down in front of you. And he addresses him, see, as Ananta. Ananta means infinite one. Infinite means what? That is not constrained by space and time. That is infinite. Infinite means that which is not constrained by space and time. So it is very obvious that he is referring to the Supreme Brahman, not the Krishna form here, as he's come to understand the highest nature of the Lord. And then he also says that you are Sat and Asat. So this has to be understood. He's telling the Lord, you are Sat, meaning you are real. At the same time, you are Asat, you are unreal. So what does this mean? It means that you are present. Sat means that which has life in it, which is moving. That is Sat. Asat is that which is inert, which doesn't move. So he's telling the Lord, you are present in both that which is moving and that which is not moving also. Another way to look at Sat and Asat is, you are both the cause and the effect also. So what do we mean by that? See, gold is the cause of ornaments. So we can say that gold is both the cause and the effect, because gold is in all ornaments. So at the same time, we must understand that although Lord is in the moving and non-moving, is in the cause and effect, at the same time Arjuna uses another word to address the Lord. He addresses him in verse 37 as Aksharam. So Chara means that which is perishable. Akshara means that which is imperishable. So all these words actually we can use in our prayers when we want to connect with the Supreme Brahman. Just like we want to connect with Ganesha, we use Ganesha mantra. We want to connect with Shiva, we use Shiva mantra. But how do we connect with the Supreme Brahman? We use all these superlative terms that describe the highest form of the Lord. So Akshara means that which is imperishable. And yet he says, you are Tatparam, you are beyond cause and effect. So how do we understand this? We have to go back to chapter 8, verse 20. If you look at chapter 8, verse 20, the explanation is there. On page 158. Okay? Chapter 8, verse 20, page 158. So there is saying, beyond this unmanifest, there is yet another unmanifest. So what does he mean here? First of all, this whole creation has come from the unmanifest. What is this unmanifest? It is the seed of creation. Just like a tree, before a tree comes into manifestation, where does the tree exist? It exists in the seed. When you open the seed, can you see the tree in the seed? So that's why we say the seed is the unmanifested tree. It has not taken manifestation yet. Then the seed becomes a tree. It takes manifestation. So the same way this world, what we see this world is the manifested world. Where did it come from? It came from the seed. What is contained in the seed? What is contained in the seed of creation?
Living.
Like?
Living and not living.
Right. So your vasanas, your karmas, everything is contained in this seed. Right? What form, what shape you will take, the origin, everything is contained in this seed. But it is not taken manifestation. So Lord is in the manifest, He is also in the unmanifest, and yet He is beyond both. He is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. That is what He's saying here. You are beyond the unmanifest. You are beyond the manifest also. You are not affected by this change that is happening. So that is what it means here in chapter 11 when he says, you are tat param, you are beyond cause and effect also. So now we will look at today's verse number 38. So Arjuna goes on expressing his sense of devotion to the Lord. Here he addresses Lord as Tvam Adi Deva. So Devas are what? We know that the Devas are in charge of various aspects in this creation. Who is the Deva for water? Varuna Devata. Who is the Deva for wind? Vayu Devata. Who is the Devata for sun? Surya Devata. So every aspect in this creation, we know there is a Deva who is responsible for that aspect of the creation. But where did all these Devas come from? So Arjuna is saying, you are the Adi Deva. You came before all these Devas. You are the cause of all these Devas. It is because of you that all these Devas have got their powers. So if you go back again to chapter 7, verse 21, chapter 7, verse 21, that's on page 144, okay, there also Krishna mentioned about all these various Devas whom we pray to. So what does he say here in verse 21? Whatever form a deity, a devotee seeks to worship with faith, I stabilize that faith of that particular devotee in that very form. So that means whichever Deva you're praying to, and they grant you all the wishes, whatever you pray for, where is the authority coming from? Authority is not coming from the Devas. The power to grant you the wishes is coming from the Supreme Brahman, not Krishna. Very careful here, it is the Supreme Brahman who powers all these various Devas to answer our prayers. So he says that in the next verse 22. Endowed with such faith, he worships that form and obtains through him, without doubt, his desired enjoyment as ordained by me. So the Supreme Brahman, you pray to the deity has got to send your application to Brahman. Then Brahman approves it and then you get what you want. Now, what happens when your prayers are answered? What happens when your prayers are answered? Huh? Your faith in that particular deity increases, right? But in reality, where is that prayer being granted from whom? From Brahman, not from the deity. So it will take us time to understand that, because we need to pray to a particular deity in order to ask for things. So little by little, slowly, we should understand that everything is controlled by that Supreme Brahman. So, then in fact the next verse 23, if you look at it, is interesting. He says, finite is the fruit gained by these people of small intelligence. Means what is he trying to tell us? You pray for something, You get something, you are very happy with that deity that has granted you the wish. But what is he telling us there? The next verse. Finite is the fruit gained by these men of small intelligence. Meaning what? What is he trying to tell us?
Maybe in our prayers, we're just asking things related to the world.
Right.
So it starts here.
Which is all finite. So what is he trying to tell you here? Temporary. What is the hidden message here? You should be aiming for the infinite, not the finite. Because whatever finite things you get will give you only that temporary happiness. And ultimately, again, you will be going back and asking for something which is finite again. So what he's trying to tell you is ultimately you must move from finite to infinite. So this is the message he's trying to give us. You've got to move away. You start with rituals and prayers, but then with knowledge you have to understand that your ultimate goal is to attain the infinite happiness, Satchit Ananda. So coming back again to our verse here, verse number 38. He says, you are Adi Deva. You are the very source, the very creator of all the Devas. So we must understand here even where did Brahman come from? Brahman also came from Brahma came from Brahman also. Right? So all these various Devas came from you alone. Okay? Then the next superlative word that Arjuna uses to describe this Brahman is you are Purusha. So Purusha also, actually you are also Purusha, I am also Purusha, we are all Purushas. But this word Purusha has got a deeper meaning. Purusha has got two meanings. One is Puryati Sarvam Iti Purusha. Puryati Sarva means that which is all pervading. He is everywhere. He is north, south, east, west, everywhere. So we cannot be that Purusha because we are not everywhere. If we are here, we are not somewhere else. He is all pervading. That is one meaning of Purusha. Second meaning of Purusha is Puru. The word Puru means body. Sha means the one who resides in the body. So Purusha means the indweller. Now if you put these two together, all pervading and at the same time he resides in the body, what is your ultimate definition of this Purusha? It means that he is outside all objects and at the same time he is inside all objects also. So this body, in fact in chapter 5 verse 13 or so, Lord mentioned that the Purusha resides in the city of 9 gates. So what is the city of 9 gates? Is our body, which has got 9 entries and exits also. What are they? 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, organ of excretion, organ of reproduction. These are the 9 city of 9 gates which reflects the body. And who resides in it? The one who is residing, the one who is giving life to this whole body is known as the Purusha. So here he addresses Lord as a Purusha. So again, remember it is not addressing Krishna but addressing Brahman.
So is it the same as divine consciousness?
Correct, exactly. It is consciousness. Consciousness that resides in animate and inanimate. That is called Purusha. So these are different words that is using, all superlative words. Okay. Next is also addressing him as Purana. Purana means you are the most ancient one. Because if we say that this whole creation came from Lord, then from Brahman, then the next question we will ask ourselves is where did Brahman come from? But the word here uses Purana. There is nothing that existed before you. You were there right from the beginning. Purana. Tvam Param Nidhanam. Tvam, you are. Param, the ultimate. Nidhanam. Nidhanam means repository. Repository of what? Asya, of this, Visvasya, of this entire creation. You are the very repository. That means, here it means two things. One is, you are the very source or the cause of this whole creation. Without you, there will be no creation. Just like without gold, there will be no ornaments. Without clay, there can be no pots. Without the Lord, there can be no creation. That is one meaning. Second meaning is, when we say Lord is the ultimate repository, it means that ultimately we all have to go back to the main source. We all have to merge back with that main source. So upon dissolution, the entire manifest world will go back into the unmanifest. So these are the words that he is using to describe the Lord. He carries on to give some more expressions about his devotion. He says, O Lord, you are Veta Asi. So Veta Asi means you are the one who knows everything. Knows everything means you know the past, you know everything which is going on in the present, and you are the one who knows everything that is going to happen in the future. So the past, the present, and the future, you are the all-knowing one. And not only you are the all-knowing one, you are the Vedyam. Vedyam means you are the ultimate thing that is to be known by everybody. So our ultimate goal as a human being is to realize that Supreme Being, to have knowledge of that Supreme Being. That's why knowledge of Brahman is called Brahma Gyan, Atma Gyan, for us to realize this very highest knowledge of who is the Supreme Being. And finally he says, you are Param Dhama, you are the ultimate abode, which has to be attained by all spiritual seekers. And the next word he uses there is Ananta Rupa. So Rupa means forms. Ananta means you are of endless forms. So what do we mean by endless forms? It means that wherever there are forms existing, your presence is there. So if you remember, you see this picture of the Vishwarupam. He's got 1,000 hands, 1,000 heads, 1,000 legs. All it means is that everywhere there is a form, you are existing there. So in the animals is there, in the insects is there, in humans is there, in the rocks is there. His form is totally endless. Okay. And finally he says, by you, Tvaya, Vishwam Tatam, Vishwam, this whole universe is pervaded. So you are actually present in every aspect of this creation also. Then we come to the next verse 39. Now, in chapter 8, verse 4, if you go back to chapter 8, verse 4, there Lord identified himself. Chapter 8, verse 4 is on page 151. Okay. Now, in chapter 8, verse 4, if you see the word Adi Bhuta, Lord said, I am Adi Bhuta. What is Bhuta? Bhuta means the 5 elements that are used in this entire creation. What are the 5 elements? Fire. Let's start with the most subtle. Space or ether. Then air. Air is wind. Yeah. Fire. Water, earth. So you go from subtle to gross. Okay, ether, air, fire, water, earth. Because this is how also the creation came about, from subtle to gross. And when dissolution happens, it goes backwards. So what we call earth folds back into water, water folds back into fire, fire. Fire folds back into air, air folds back into space, and everything goes back to the Lord. So there Lord identified himself as Adi Bhuta. That means he is the origin of the Pancha Bhutas, the 5 elements. So now in this chapter 11, Arjuna is recognizing him as the Adi Bhuta, that you are, who are you? You are Vayu, you are Vayu Devta. So wind or air is also one element. But where does the wind or air get its powers from? It is from Brahman himself. So he says, actually, Lord, you are the Vayu, you are the Vayu Devta. You are that vital element that gives air, or what we call air, gives life to everything in this creation. At the same time, you see how he relates one to the other. While air gives us life, he also says, Lord, you are Yamaha, you are the Lord of death. So while you are in that, you are giving us life, at the same time, you are the one who's taking away this life also. So life you are also, death also you are also. You are both Vayu and you are also Yamaha. So a lot of us are actually afraid of Yamaha because he is always associated with death. But we must also remember that Yama Devta is also a very knowledgeable being also. He also has a lot of knowledge. There is an Upanishad called Katha Upanishad, which is a dialogue between Lord Yama and a young boy called Nachiketas. So what happens is that Nachiketa's father is doing a big Havan Yagya. So he's performing this Havan Yagya, and Nachiketas comes and questions his father about doing such an elaborate Yagya. So the father tells him, you go to hell. He consigns him to the Lord of Death. So the boy obeys his father and goes to see Lord Yama. So when he arrives at Lord Yama's place, he finds that Lord Yama is not at home because he's very busy handling all these matters of death everywhere around. So 3 days patiently he waits for Lord Yama. Now the story is told very interestingly, but it's a very long Upanishad, I think almost 200 verses. So he waits 3 days patiently for Lord Yama to come back. When Lord Yama comes back, the householders tell him that this boy has been patiently waiting for you for 3 days. Better you go and see what he wants. So Lord Yama is very pleased with his boy. He says, 3 days you're waiting for me. I will give you 3 boons. Ask me whatever you want. I will give you 3 boons. So what do you think a young boy will ask? A teenager? If you are a teenager, you're given 3 boons by the Lord, what will you ask for? Huh?
Well,
What?
well,
Sorry?
money.
Money? What else? Knowledge? Nice car maybe? Branded clothes? But what does Nachiketas ask? He says, I want to know about how this Havan ritual is the right way to conduct the Havan ritual. I want to know about Brahman. I want to know about God. So Yama says, what are you talking? You're such a young boy. You ask me for money, you ask me for gold, ask me for beautiful lady as your wife. Why are you asking for all these things? Then Nachiketa says, you may grant me all these things, but they are all temporary. I want which is the infinite. I want that is which is permanent. And then Lord Yama explains everything to him. So that whole Upanishad goes like this. He explains to him about all the spiritual matters. So Lord Yama must not just be seen as a god of death. He's actually very knowledgeable also. Okay. In fact, there was one time I ended up seeing an orthopedic person. He was from Nigeria. He's here. And his name is Yama. So very deadly, you go and see him. What's her name? Dr. Yama. Oh my God, he gets scared of seeing him. Dr. Yama. I told him that. I said, do you know your name means god of death? He said, yes, I know. I've seen many Indian patients. So Yama. So he says, Lord, you are Yamaha. Third, he says, at the same time, you are also Varuna. You are the deity of water. And water is that which provides us nourishment. So this is something that, as they say, when you pray, you have to you have to express gratitude to the Lord. Because He's providing all this support for us free of charge. He's the very oxygen we breathe in. He's the very nourishment in the water that we take. Everything the very sun that nourishes us in every way, in every aspect, the Lord is nourishing us. Next way he addresses the Lord, you are Shashanka. Shashanka here refers to moon. Okay. Now, how does the moon nourish us also? It is also mentioned in chapter 15, verse 13. How does the moon nourish us? Chapter 15, verse 13. There the Lord says, page, what is that? Page 275. Page 275. Permeating the earth, I support all beings by my power and become the nectarian moon. I nourish all the plants. So again, Lord, as the brilliance of the moon, nourishes the plants, and the very plants, the fruits, the vegetables that we eat in turn nourishes us also. So many aspects in this creation we don't appreciate, we don't think about it, but Lord is supporting this whole creation in various aspects. Shashanka, O Lord, you are Shashanka, the radiance of the moon that nourishes all the plants. At the same time, you are Prajapati. Prajapati means the Lord of all the creatures. Okay, Praja means basically the creatures. Pati means the Lord of all the creatures. And sometimes this word Prajapati also refers to Lord Brahma as the creator. So it can have both meanings. He is the Lord of all creatures, and at the same time he is known as Lord Brahma also. And at the same time he says, you are Pra-Pita-Maha. So Pra-Pita-Maha means great grandfather. So Lord is our great grandfather. How is that possible? How does Lord become our great grandfather? So Lord here, meaning Brahman, created, what is the first thing he created? What did Brahman create first? He created Lord Brahma, right? Then what did Lord Brahma create? What did Lord Brahma create? Go back to chapter 10, verse 6. You will see that. Chapter 10, verse 6. Brahman created Lord Brahma. What did Lord Brahma create? The 7 Maharishis. He created all this. And then from all these Maharishis came the entire creation. So now, who is our father? Who is our father? Maharishis are our fathers. We have come from all these Maharishis. This whole creation has come from these 7 Maharishis. So who is our original father is the Maharishis. Who is therefore our grandfather? Lord Brahma. And therefore who is our great grandfather? Brahman. So that's how the origin came. Right? From Brahman came Brahma. From Brahma came the Maharishis. From Maharishis we came from that. So therefore he says, Lord, you are the Pra-Pitamaha. You are the great grandfather. And therefore, knowing all your greatness of how you nourish us, nourish this whole creation, Arjuna says, Namaha Namaha Astute. Salutations upon salutations, O Lord, be unto you. So you can see that his what we call his emotions of devotion are just going higher and higher. He just wants to express his thankfulness to the Lord. Namaha Namaha, 2 times he repeats. Salutations upon salutations. Astute, be unto you, O Lord. And then he's not satisfied here, just salutations upon salutations. Then he adds in another word, Sahasra Kritva, 1,000 times, Lord, salutations and salutations upon you. Again and again, I bow down to you, I bow down to you. Punaha, Punaha, again and again, salutations to you. So, Here again is a very important lesson. Arjuna is bowing down to Lord's greatness, Lord's glory. What should be that lessons to us? What is the takeaway lesson from this? Lord is the greatest. He's got all these glories. Arjuna is bowing down to him again and again. Namaha, Namaha. What is the lesson to us? You must understand, take away some lesson from this verse. Huh? How? You're near the answer. How? Humility? You're right. Oh, right, but can you express that out? What is the lesson we have to learn from this?
Humble, knowing the extreme beauty and extreme power of God.
Right. Okay, but what else besides that? When we are great, we do something great. Somebody pays salutations to us, what should we do? Be grateful to what? Where should you pass all the salutations to? Because he is the greatest. There's nobody greater than him. So remember, anytime anybody says, you are doing a wonderful job, you are doing this, you are doing that, all salutations that come to us all belong to the Lord. Because there is nobody greater than him. In fact, whatever we can do, whatever we are doing, that greatness all comes from the Lord. As he says in chapter 7, the Devas grant you all the wishes, but their power to grant you the wishes comes from me. So, the very fact that if I am doing something great, something good, that blessing, that power to do good also comes from the Lord. So, if I receive any thanks, any gratefulness, immediately my mind should pass on all this gratitude to the Lord. So, that is a lesson we should learn. When we receive salutations, mentally renounce all the glories to the Lord. And what is the net result if we do that? Huh? What?
More will come.
More will come. Okay. What else? You get purified, you get peace, and above all, you don't inflate your ego. Exactly. Your ego goes away. Otherwise, we feel great, right? We want to do the least work and get the maximum recognition, right? So, always remember that. Always hand all the glories to the Lord. Sorry? Lord. Power to do bad comes from who? Then don't pass that on to the Lord. See, here you have a choice. That's most important we have to understand. We have a choice. Even if we do good and people praise us, we have a choice to accept it and say, yes, I did it, but that brings ego, right? So if you do bad, if you are really spiritually inclined, you won't even do bad, right? So all that evil thoughts come from what we call, when we stray away from divinity, that's where all the evil thoughts come from. Yes, if you have tamasic gunas, if you have a lot of tamasic gunas, you have a lot of rajasic gunas, that will lead to all these impure and selfish thoughts. Okay, it does come from there. Verse 40, he goes on, still not happy, he goes on paying more and more salutations to the Lord. So, he wants to offer the Lord salutations, but he realizes the Lord is everywhere. So he says, Namaha te, salutations to you, O Lord. Purastat, from the front, because you are in front of me. So, Purastat, from the front I pay my salutations. But at the same time, you are all pervading, you are everywhere. So, not only I pay my salutations to you from the front, but he says, Athaha, also, Prastataha, from behind, because you are also behind me. You are in front of me, you are also behind me. You are all pervading. And Namaha astu te, salutations to you, Sarvataha, from all sides. Okay? From all directions I pay you my salutations. See, if we actually learn to recite these verses, this 8 or 9 verses every day. So beautiful because we do it during the evening arti, during the Sandhya arti. Very beautiful, and all these verses are composed in that what we call that longer text. What is that called? So just example, I'll just recite this one verse, verse 40. Nama purastat atha prestataste namostute sarvata eva sarva ananta viryam ananta viryam vikramas ananta viryam ita vikramastvam sarvam samapnoshi tatosi sarva. So all the verses are recited in that same manner, very beautiful verses. So he says, O Lord, I am paying my salutations to you from the front, Purasthat. Also I offer my salutations to you, Prasthatha, because you are also behind me. And Namaha Astu Te, salutations to you, Sarvata, from all sides, because verily you are Sarva, you exist in all directions. So the Upanishads, at least they say that Lord exists north, south, east, west, that is 4, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, that's another 4, that's 8 directions. Then up and down, that is 10. So total they say Lord exists in 10 directions, in every direction. And that's why also if you go back to chapter 9 verse 15, there Lord was addressed as Vishwato Mukhaha. Chapter 9 verse 15, Vishwato Mukhaha. Mukhaha means faces. Vishwato means everywhere your face is there. That means you exist in every part of this creation. Okay? Vishwato Mukha. And there's a verse in the Mundaka Upanishad that says the same thing. What is in front is Brahman, what is behind is Brahman, what is on the right, on the left, above and below, everything is Brahman. So again, understand that Arjuna here is paying his salutations not to the Krishna form but to the highest form, that is Brahman. Okay. Then what are the other glories of the Lord? Arjuna says, O Lord, you are Ananta Virya. Ananta Virya, Ananta means infinite, Virya means strength, the one who has the most powerful strength in this world. So even the powerful demons were no match for you, and every demon was defeated by the Lord also. Ananta Virya. And the next quality he says, you are Amita Vikrama. You have, Vikrama means skill. So Amita Vikrama means infinite skill also. Sarvam Samapnoshi, you are everything, you pervade everything, you pervade everywhere. So you are the all pervading one. Then we go on to verse number 41. So as Arjuna is singing all the glories of the Lord, so he realizes that you see, we must understand before the Lord has revealed himself as the Supreme Being, Arjuna's understanding of Lord Krishna was he was just another human being who had supernatural powers. Right? And Arjuna was also related to the Lord also. So the way he behaved with him, the way he, all the way his friendship or whatever he had with the Lord, he now realizes that he may not have treated Krishna with the due respect as the Lord. Okay? So not knowing the supreme nature of Krishna, he now wants to make amends. So again, the beauty of these verses is, not only are we paying our salutations to the Lord, we are also asking for his forgiveness. So in this one prayer, you actually cover everything. You give your salutations to him, you highlight all his glories, and at the same time you ask for his forgiveness if you have done something wrong. Okay? So forgiveness also. So now Arjuna ask for forgiveness from the Lord. How does he say that? He says, Matva, thinking, iti sakha, that you are my friend. I considered you as my very friend. So everything I did with you, whatever what we call adventures they had, they went together, they did a lot of things together. So he says to the Lord, Matva iti sakha, thinking that you are my friend, yat uktvam, whatever I have said, in whatever way I have spoken to you, in whatever way I may have addressed you casually, he says, prasabam, it might have been very rash without any respect. Okay. So how was Arjuna related to Krishna? Krishna's sister Saubhadra. He was married to Krishna's sister Saubhadra. So that means Krishna is who to him? The brother-in-law. So definitely different relationship he had with him, not realizing that he's the what we call the manifestation of the very supreme. So, and it was on a very friendly basis. So he says, Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava. Yadava means descendant of the Yadu dynasty, which Krishna was a descendant. Hey Sakha, he say I may have wrongly address you as Krishna, as Yadava, as Sakha, as a friend. So I now realize that you are the supreme being. I should have addressed you more respectfully. So Arjuna wants to now ask for forgiveness. So he says, in whatever way I've addressed you actually is pranayena, out of love. It was not that I meant to disrespect you, but I addressed you out of love. So he says, not knowing your greatness, O Lord, please forgive me. Okay? So forgive me for any trespasses. So now the next verse here, he carries on to ask forgiveness from the Lord in verse number 42. So what does he say? He says, in whatever way that I have asat krita, I have discourteously treated you, ahavarsatam, in any way that I've ridiculed you in the past, I might not have given you the proper respect. When are the times when I did not give you the proper respect? Vihara, when we were playing together. So Krishna and Arjuna had a lot of fun also together. They were related and they used to do a lot of things together. So Vihara, while playing with you, I may have also disrespected you. Saya, while lying down or sleeping next to you, I should not have done that. Okay. Asana, sitting down. So when the Lord is there, where should we sit down? Where do we always place the Lord? Higher, right? We always sit at the feet of the Lord. But not knowing that you are the Lord, I would have sat next to you also, which was very wrong. And bhojana, while eating, when should we eat? After offering food to the Lord. Then only we eat. But here Arjuna is saying, I would have eaten together with you, which was wrong of me to do that. And what else, in which other ways that I have disrespected you? He says, ekaha, sometimes we may have been alone, or tat samaksham, in the presence of others also I might not have treated you in the right way. So he says, for such trespasses, he says, Lord, shamaye. Shamaye means I beg your pardon. O Lord, please forgive me. And for good measure, he addresses the Lord as aprameyam. Your nature is infinite. Okay. So again, as I say, these verses are beautiful verses. We learn to recite them. It covers our glorification of the Lord. It covers our forgiveness also, asking for forgiveness of the Lord. So verse 43 now, Arjuna addresses again the Lord as Asi Pita. You are the father of Asya Loka, of this whole world. You are the father. You are the ultimate cause. And again, he adds in another two words. So not only are you the father of this world, but you're also Chara Acharasya. Chara means that which is moving, Acharasya means that which is not moving. So you are the father of this world, of anything that is moving and non-moving. Tvam asya pujasya. You are the only one worthy of worship. You are the only one worthy to receive worship from all the devotees. At the same time, you are Guru Gariyan. Gariyan means you are the greatest Guru. You are the highest Guru. So that's why when we do our prayers also, we address the Lord as Jagat Guru. He is the Guru of this entire world. So where did this knowledge come from? See, today all the saints and sages, they are what we call imparting knowledge to us. Where did their knowledge come from? From their gurus. Where did their gurus get the knowledge? From the Lord Himself. So that's why the Vedas are called as Shrutis. There is no known author of the Vedas. It is always a mistake when we say Vyasa is the author of the Vedas. Vyasa is not the author of the Vedas. So what is Vyasa's role in the Vedas? He is the compiler of all the Vedas. Where did he get all the knowledge from? From the Rishis. Where did the Rishis get the knowledge from?
Meditation.
From the Supreme Being. When they meditated, they received the knowledge. So the knowledge, that's why it's known as Shrutis. They were heard. Shruti comes from the word Shrunu, which means it was heard. So the Lord imparted the knowledge to these divine sages. They heard these revelations. Now, that time there was no written material. So what they did is they memorized all the knowledge, and they in turn recited this knowledge to their disciples, who kept on reciting on and on to their disciples. Ultimately, Vyasa came, he collected all this knowledge and he partitioned all this knowledge into the 4 Vedas. Okay, so that's why Vyasa is known as the partitioner of the Vedas. Okay, there is no known author of the Vedas. So what Arjuna is saying here, you are the Guru Gariyan, you are the greatest Guru. Okay, and na asti tvat samaha. Na asti, there is no one tvat samaha who's even equal to you. So you are the most supreme in terms of greatness. Now, again, is something that we have to understand, that we may have 1 or 2 good qualities in us, or 2 or 3 or 4 good qualities, but only the Lord can have all the infinite great qualities, all the greatness, only the Lord can have. So, na asti tvat samaha, and therefore he says, Utaha, how can anyone be abhyadikaha, greater than you? Okay. Not only in this world, lokatraya, in all the 3 worlds. So in the hell, in the heavens, on this earth, you are the most greatest also. So Arjuna goes on to pay his respects to the Lord, and this final verse 44 is where he completes his what we call his glorification of the Lord. Okay, and then in the next verses from 45 onwards, we will see another different emotion, and finally the closing verses, the Lord Himself will speak. Okay, so this final verse 44, Arjuna says, Tasmat, therefore, pranamya, bowing down, I now bow down to you, I bow down to your glories. Pranidhaya, I prostrate, what? Kaya, my body. I prostrate my body as a manifestation of my devotion and reverence. What do I ask for? Aham, I ask for prasadaye, please propitiate. So please answer my prayers, please forgive me also. And who are you? Tvam Isham, you are the Lord of this whole creation. So he's paying his salutations, his respect to the Lord, and he's also asking for his forgiveness also. And he addresses the Lord as Deva. Deva, O Lord, Arhasi, you should so do, you should forgive my faults. So, O Lord, I'm pleading to you, in whatever way I've done wrong, please forgive my whatever which I've done wrong. Forgive my faults, okay, and my trespasses. and how even he wants to ask the Lord how he should be forgiven. So he gives 3 examples. Pita putrasya, just as a father would forgive his son. So no matter how naughty the son is, the father will always forgive the son. So Pita putrasya, just like a father forgives his son, and Sakha, how a friend forgives the fault of a Sakyu, of another friend. We always forgive those which are close to us, who are our friends, we forgive them. And the third one, Priya, how a husband forgives the faults of a Priyaya, a wife. Of course, it works both ways. Not only husband must forgive faults of the wife, it has to work both ways. So Priya, Priyaya. So in a human relationship, when there is genuine love between two parties, there is always the attitude of forgiveness. Okay, and so Arjuna is also asking for the same thing. With genuine intention, he is asking for the Lord to forgive him. And for forgiveness to take place, there must be 3 conditions. For whatever forgiveness to take place, there must be 3 conditions. What are the 3 conditions? First condition, the person who has to forgive must be a large-hearted and wise person. Yes? The person who has to forgive must be a large-hearted and wise person to forgive that. Second, the person who seeks forgiveness must confess his mistake and surrender unconditionally. Right? It must not be, I ask for forgiveness, you forgive me, then again I do something. So there must be genuine, what we call intention, that I made a mistake and I'm asking for forgiveness in a genuine way. 3, there must be an instant bonding of love between the forgiver and the forgiven. So all these 3 conditions have been satisfied because the Lord has the biggest heart to forgive. Arjuna is genuinely asking for forgiveness, and there is a real bonding of love between Krishna and Arjuna. So thus, with this verse 44 ends what we call as the prayer portion of this chapter, which is from verses 36 to 44. So we will come back next week and look at the rest of the verses. Now, I just want to let you all know in advance, next Sunday, it's a very auspicious day, it is Guru Purnima. And here at the ashram, we will be celebrating right from the morning. Since it's a Sunday, we will start at 8:30 a.m. till 11:30. We will be doing a havan outside there. Our brother Kumara and his wife are the main people who will sit for the havan. But any of you can come and participate. Every chapter we will keep on changing the participants in the havan. So you can also come and listen to all the 18 chapters of the Gita will be recited. So it's a good opportunity if you want to hear the recitation of all the 18 chapters. Come next Sunday 8:30 to 11:30, and you can even sit and participate in the havan. So after 11:30 we'll come upstairs and we do the Guru Paduka Puja to respect our Guru, pay obeisances, and the children also will be performing I think bhajans on that day also. So the whole program starts from 8:30 until 1, followed by lunch. And those who come early for the havan, there will be also breakfast served also. Okay, so do come, listen to the recitation, and do participate in the havan also. Okay, with that we end the prayer. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Thank you.